Now we've got our flow chart. I'm going to put that over to one side so I can see it. And then we've got our data all ready to go here. So I'm going to bring in my Klamath data and my parcels data. Now notice that I did a new project in ArcGIS Pro. The reason for that is because I want to make sure that everything is in UTM Zone 10 North. The ArcGIS Pro will pick up the first spatial reference that it sees and use that for display. And down here you can see that as we move the cursor around, we're showing eastings and northings from UTM. If we zoom out, you can see the shape of the UTM projection. So we're now in UTM. This is a good thing. You can change that in map, but I like to just do a new, start over, good to go. Okay. So we're trying to find the ownership within 30 meters of the Klamath River in Humboldt County. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to buffer the Klamath River to 30 meters. We're in UTM, so we don't have to worry too much about the units. Now, when you go up here, you will see there's some spatial analysis steps here. Okay, there's buffer. But remember, whenever you need something, you can always go up and search for it or browse through the toolbox. If you don't know the name, it can be really hard to find them. But go on the web, search around, or ask folks. So here I'm just going to buffer to 30 meters, make sure I set my output class. Now I'm in working, and I'm just going to say this is the Klamath River, buffered 30 meters. Okay, so I add to the name and run, and that shouldn't take too long. Now, to learn about all the different options associated with any transform or tool, you can hit help. Esri's help is really good. And that should have buffered. Now it's a little hard to tell because 30 meters is not very big, but if we zoom in, we can see, it did buffer, but it actually created all these little buffers around each stream segment. So that may not be what we want in the long run. It'll work for right now, but that's a little bit distracting. So now what we want to do, so what we can do is we can dissolve those individual features into a single feature. And if we look for dissolve, seriously? Well, here's another new one for me. I've never seen this error where it says indexing in progress. Please search again later. That would be new. It looks like our catalog is broken. I guess I could go ahead and look for the tools individually. I happen to know that dissolve is part of analysis, and I could go ahead and look in here. Maybe it'll work here. Oh, there it worked. Okay. That was strange. All right. So maybe we want to start. Oh, I was searching in my project. That's why. Don't want to do that. We want to search in tools. And then that worked. Okay. Got to be careful of those things. All right. So what we want to do is dissolve our buffered version. We have our output feature class. Now you can go ahead and just keep adding to this. Okay, it'll get a little bit long. Let's go ahead and dissolve. Shouldn't take too long because this is pretty simple even though it's large. Okay, now if we go ahead and turn off the other one, and I'm going to turn off the main stem, now we have what we'd expect, right? We have just the buffer around our river segments. Okay. Now we want to go ahead and clip our parcels to the river. Now we could clip our river to Humboldt County, but that'll happen automatically when we clip it to the parcels. And you could look at this two different ways. We can clip the parcels to the river or the river to the parcels. You could also do an intersection, which will keep both. But you want to think about which layer do we want to keep the data for. We really want to keep the data for the parcels. So that's the one that we're going to clip. Now, clip is a really commonly used tool. It's up here, easy to get to. What we want to do is for the input features, that's going to be our parcel layer. And then the clip feature is the one we're going to use to clip the parcels. So that's going to be our dissolved. And that is really important to have that order correct, because that not only determines that this layer is going to be used to clip this one, it's like this is the scissors going around and clipping this one, but the only attributes that will remain will be from the input features. The ones from our dissolve will disappear. And now parcels clip, the name that it put in there was actually pretty good, so I think I'll use that. It says completed. Wow, that was fast. Let's turn everything else off, and there we have it. Now we have our parcels clipped within 30 meters of the river. Now, notice that the river is actually wider than 30 meters in spots, at least on this map, and familiar with this part of the river, it is quite a bit wide. We're really clipping within 30 meters of the center line of the river, where the legal line is, or where the, I shouldn't say the legal line, the center line has been determined to be in the National Hydrology data set. And there's interpretation about where the center of a river is, so that can change. The property lines are determined legally, and you can see them wandering through here. Also, I need to say that the property boundaries for Humboldt County, these are not the exact property boundaries, those are determined by the deed. So again, always some uncertainty. Okay, now we want to compute the area for all of our parcels. We've done that enough times. We just add a field, call it area, make it a double, hit return, close that. Whoops. Well, I just learned the hard way about an error, well, what I would consider an error in ArcGIS, certainly really poor error reporting. Notice that save is active right now. However, if I change the name of this field to just area, it turns red. And I wasn't sure why it was red. There's no error message here when I hover over it. Oh, it does say, it does say duplicate. Wow, okay, so that's saying that there's actually another area up here, and save is grayed out. But when you put your cursor over here, it says it's disabled when there are valid edits to the fields, but disabled, the current project contains unsaved feature edits. So that's just not good. So just know that this red says there's something wrong with my name. I need to call it something else. Now I'm going to call it area 2. I'm not sure I need another area. There already is one in here, but I wanted to show you this in case you run across the same problem. And in fact, I'm just going to delete my extra attributes because I really don't need them. I'll do my area calculation inside of this one. All right, going back, area. Now remember, these areas are not going to be accurate because they don't get updated when we do any of the analysis operations. We have to recalculate them ourselves. So let's go ahead and set area equal to area. The area units, we need to pick. Which one are we going to use? Well, we're using metric systems, so we should probably use hectares. And we definitely want to use the same coordinate system. I'm in fact not really sure why it asks us that, because it should use the one that not only our data is in, but the one that we're currently reviewing, because they're all the same. And that'll then compute the new area. And now there's further work we can do, and of course see how much smaller they are than they were. Perimeter will also be off, so we need to recompute that if we wanted to use it, but I just want area. Now we could go ahead and combine these and do further analysis on the land cover and which amounts of area each of these different land covers had.